Are you the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart to Hulk Hogan? Are you RDR's mouth of the South? Because I credit you a little bit with his rise.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael, this is Daniel. And Daniel, I must say, you're looking a little stiff, a little sore over there. What's going on?
Chael. So I started this 45-day thing, right? Train hard program with this guy named Jason Khalipa. Chael. All the workouts initially, because I was so out of shape, were like super measured. Like I was doing stuff for 10, 12 minutes. The other day we did 40 minutes and Chael. Because I was running better, because I was doing better, he kind of pushed me. He's a crazy CrossFit dude. Chael, I can't even lift my arms. He made me do pull-ups. I can, you know when you do pull-ups, your lats hurt so bad, and the lat allows you to lift your arms. Chael, I have not put on CBD cream in years. I've been just lathering myself in CBD hoping for some relief. It's bad.
All right, so if you were to do pull-ups, though, not in a set format, in 1 to a max, how many pull-ups could you do? Over or under 12?
12? 4?
Under? Really?
4, 5? Dude, I'm heavy. I've never been able to pull up. I can push a bunch. I can like this, but I can't pull up my body weight as much as you would think. How many can you do?
I don't actually know. I don't actually know, but when I did the over under 12, I would assume I would be over. Now, I got a little motion going. You mentioned CrossFit. There's a little bit of a technique. Yeah. Go straight, wait for a beat, come up. I mean, that's going to reduce anybody's 1 rep max.
Dude, I was hurting so bad.
All right, Daniel, the actual number is 22.
You can do 22 pull-ups, Chael?
I didn't want to say,
No, you can do no, you're lying.
What's the difference?
You can do 22 pull-ups.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That's a great number, Chael.
Wood middle school record still holds to this day.
Chael, that's a good number to be proud of. Hey, you've got a few things in your life. 1, your bank account. Hey, Miss Brittany, Thero, the babies. That record in pull-ups, that goes right up there with all those great things that you have in your life, my friend.
You know, Brittany got me this morning. I was in the shower, and there's good naked and there's bad naked. I'm in the middle of bad naked, right? Like I'm in a moment of privacy. She comes around and she just stares at me. She does nothing but stare at me. So I take the water on my face and I fling it at her and said, "Go." She did go to the kitchen, filled up a big, it's called a Yeti, but a great big thing with ice water, came back, opened the door, cooled me down a little bit.
And it made you even worse naked. That cold water makes you even worse naked, Chael. I mean, come on, Miss Ridney. Chael P. All right, we got to get to work because, like, they're hitting it. It's like, Kirsten got a job where she moved, and now Air's, like, taking her position. She's just hitting that alert button, like, get back on topic.
So, and what are we supposed to do with Kirsten Biga? We're supposed to celebrate, like, good job, you got a promotion, right? I mean, that's honestly, what happened, even though we miss her.
Yeah. And she said the text so nicely, and whole time I was mad. Like I wasn't happy for her. I can't force myself to be happy that she's moving on. So, I mean, I guess, congratulations, Kirsten, but I would rather you stay with us. But, Chael, you know who is staying with us? Reinier de Ridder. Oh, my goodness. Can you believe this guy? Yo, I'm at the golf course on Saturday. The whole time I'm watching the fight from my cart. My speaker's playing the fight. As I pass people, they're like, is that RDR versus Robert Whittaker? I'm like, absolutely. What a fight between these two. RDR now moves to 4-0. He's only been in the UFC for 8 months, Chael. How impressed were you by RDR?
RDR slipped in a knee. He slipped in a knee in the 3rd round, and it kind of went on to not only change that round, and change the fight. And if I was to back up to his final sequence with Bo Nickel, he slipped in that same knee. And Daniel, it doesn't look so hard. The way he's thrown it, it's not so hard. It kind of hits you in the liver, kidney. But it's a real weapon that he has, and particularly when a guy is that long. You know, we always talk about fighting and keeping a guy at range, but there's a lot of close quarter fighting as well, and guys with long arms can be at a disadvantage. He's found a way. He's found a way with these knees, not to mention the way that he can hold up. You go and look what he's done since he's gotten to the UFC. It has been murderer's row, and now he's the winner of a main event. In the world of promotion, if you win in a main event, you either return to a main event or you go up to title fight. And 185 has never been more difficult. I made my living as a 185 pounder, but I have never seen this division this deep. So it's not a guaranteed title fight, but it's a guaranteed something special. And he already got called out. Paulo Costa already said, I want that fight.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. And if he is to get through one more guy, he would fight for the belt. But like you said last week, Joe, you said anyone that's beaten Robert Whittaker has either been a champion or fought for the UFC championship. Or if they beat Robert Whittaker, they have become next in line to fight for the UFC championship for him. It would be a change if he doesn't get that fight right now. DDP beat Robert Whittaker, got a title fight, won the belt. Khamzat beat Whittaker, got a title fight, about to try to win the belt. So these guys, with a win over him, it's so valuable because it's so difficult to come by. Reinier de Ridder and that knee, Chael, that same one, dude, when he hit, you could see when he hit Bo with it. Bo was like, oh my God, like, what is this? He did it to Rob after Rob had hurt him really bad, too. Rob hurt him bad at one point in that round. He hit him with that knee, and you could see Robert Whittaker change. You could see Robert Whittaker start to accept being on the bottom because he didn't want to be on his feet because he knew he would take more knees. You could see that he was a little bit confused how to approach him. When you had Rob at The Ultimate Fighter, he spoke to you about the split stance, the wide stance, the ability it gives him to enter. RDR and his team figured out when he was entering, they can blast him with the knee. Once they started blasting with the knee, it made it harder for Robert to enter, which in turn allowed him to get the victory. I thought it was amazing. And it had me thinking, Chael, with that unorthodox style of fighting, he might not look like the guy that's going to be beating everybody because it looks so weird. But who's the last guy we spoke about that we talked about saying his fighting style looks too weird to be the champ? He's holding the belt at 185 right now and put it together a pretty dominant reign in Dricus du Plessis.
Yeah, it is a big question of what does this mean? And Daniel, I thought it made it even more glaringly obvious. Like in our sport, experience doesn't provide the advantages that it does in other sports. If you had a kid that was going to play soccer and the kid that they're opposite with on the other teams played for 6 seasons and it's your kid's first. The kid with 6 seasons is going to have some very built-in advantages, but it doesn't seem to work this way, right? I mean, de Ridder going into his first opportunity to even be in the 5-round club. First time he's closing out an evening against one of the most decorated, probably the surest lock for Hall of Fame of anybody not yet assigned to the Hall of Fame that we've even got under contract in Robert Whittaker. But those aren't always advantages. There's something new about going out there and feeling it, letting that excitement be part of it as opposed to that excitement make you question yourself. The way that de Ridder competes, and he's done this at 2 different weight classes now. Don't forget, before he got to the UFC, he was a champion at 205 and 185. He seems to do it with anybody. And all the tough guys say, put me in with anybody, I'll fight anybody at any time. But they don't really mean it. When that phone rings, they don't really do it. De Ridder seems to be up for anything. And if you want to insert his name into title talks right now, I think that's premature, but I'll listen.
Let me ask you this, though. And I hate to be Debbie Downer, but sometimes I have to be. Bisping was very vocal about him leaving his chin up in the air, and his reactions to shots coming in his direction. At times, he will turn away. That I'm not hating. I'm just telling you, he kind of turns, he dips his head, and he almost runs. With a real precision striker, will that become an issue? I'm not talking Robert Whittaker, who's a really high-level striker. He's a good striker for mixed martial arts. But I'm talking about those snipers, the Israel Adesanyas of the world. Will that become an issue for de Ridder, being that he is that unorthodox with his approach to striking?
It's not the first time we've seen a great do that. By the way, I mean, we've seen Nate Diaz turn away. We've seen Jake Paul in a boxing match turn away. A number of guys. We've seen Alistair Overeem used to get out of some real sticky spots by turning and dipping away. It's a little bit of a reset button, and as long as you turn at the right time, and most importantly, when you turn, it's when you turn back. If you turn back and you're firing, There can be some good things there. I don't necessarily know what's causing the turn. I don't think it's the overwhelmingness of strikes. I think he has a fear of getting taken down. I think he has a fear of as those strikes start to turn into hooks and body shots and the opponent starts getting closer, that's when he turns and gets out of dodge and resets himself a little bit. I can live with it, but if you wanted to be critical, yes, it is true. And more than anything, he keeps his hands down and his chin up.
Yes.
That recipe will make you look good until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, those dominoes just keep falling. As soon as you go down for your first time, it's easier to do. If I could change anything, I could live with the turn runaway tactic, but he's got to keep that chin down. He's got some height. It's kept him safe for now.
Chael, when Robert hit him with that right hand, I was like, oh my God, he's done. But he has a really good chin. You know who that reminds me of? And he's one of my good friends. So Luke Rockhold fought with his hands low, but nobody could get to him, so they didn't know how to approach him. But the moment Bisping knocked him out, everybody was like, oh my God, we got to hit him. And they started taking more chances. RDR has to be careful when he's striking and his chin is up there that he doesn't get clipped. Because the moment people find the avenue to get you, they just keep following it over and over again. And then it becomes hard to correct that when you're so long in the career and you've done so well. So it leads me to this question. Is a title fight next, or do we do a Adesanya versus RDR to really cement home the fact that he is the number one contender?
Interesting that you bring that up. Adesanya versus Sean Strickland was announced, not officially by the UFC, but it had been announced. But then Sean Strickland, if you'll recall, faces a suspension. He currently is under suspension with Nevada, and that makes Adesanya available again. Where is Izzy's heart? Does Izzy really want to fight for another championship? Does he really want to climb himself up? He was very specific when he called out Sean Strickland. I think he wanted to right that wrong. But if I do have it a little backwards, and Izzy would like to be back in conversations for title shots, yeah, RDR could be the guy. I think that there's some opportunity being left open to Kyle Brawl. I think that people are seeing him as possibly the one that's going to take on the winner of Shemaya Duplessis. But things change quickly. And when you get the jump on Robert Whittaker, that's quickly.
That's quickly. Okay, Chael, I got one last question for you on this, on RDR. Are you the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart to Hulk Hogan? Are you RDR's mouth of the South? Because I credit you a little bit with his rise. Think about it. He comes out of that first fight, and you go, who do you want? Before he get on there, he says Bo Nickel. He goes and beats Kevin Holland. Hey, still want Bo Nickel. He gets up there, calls for Bo Nickel. Once you beat Bo Nickel, who's got all the hype, now you're going to get a big fight. Chael, are you his, do you take a little credit for the RDR ascent up into the UFC rankings?
I actually appreciate that you give me that credit. I would like to be attached to a young man's rising career.
But are you going to be as attached as Bisping? Are you going to be as attached as Bisping was to Tom Aspinall?
As Bisping was to Aspinall, man. I'm a believer. I am a believer. I think I did see it in RDR early, but it was largely because I followed him in that other organization. I followed that he was champ and that he changed 2 weight classes. I like a guy with that kind of attitude. I liked how humble he came out against Kevin Holland, but he was even humble in victory. He's made it pretty clear. I'm here to win fights, and he doesn't act surprised when he does win them. I mean, you know how many guys we go out there that bang their chest, and when they read out the announcement, nobody's more surprised than them that they got their hand raised. And so then you start to see, oh, that was just from trying to sell a little confidence and promotion. RDR does carry himself like a champion. I will just remind you, as drunk on excitement as we are for what RDR pulled off over this weekend, 185 has never been so deep. And the right 2 guys have been established, and the right 2 guys are coming together in Chicago in a matter of weeks.
Hey, yo, Khamzat Chimaev looks crazy training with Coach Cal. Crazy. He looks like in crazy shape, but I ain't doubting Drake is Duplessis.
DC, you've noticed that Sarukian's alongside him. Like Sarukian and Chimaev are all of a sudden new training partners.
Are we missing something on Sarukian? Why is he training so hard right now? What are we missing, Chael? Does he know something we don't?
I love the point you're making. For people that don't know Coach Cal in the training lab, like that's where you go to peak. That's where you go to get really sharp.
You ain't doing that in between camps. You ain't just at the garage with Coach Cal.
No.
You're not
No,
going
it
to
is not just something you do because it's 3 o'clock and coach said practice at 3. There's very specific things going on. And those two aren't just flipping tires and climbing ropes together. They're sparring. They're doing the wrestling. They're going with each other. So Rukian has something big. He knows it. It's in his back pocket. Eventually it will be revealed to all of us.
Yeah, we're going to find out soon because, yeah, you don't go to that dude. He's killing these guys. He's only getting you ready for a fight. Chael, on the other side of that, though, it's always hard for us as people that went through the game, people that now speak about the game, to see the guy that for a long time seemed like he would be around forever. But when time starts to catch up, you start to lose fights that you might have gotten through early. And granted, it was a split decision loss for Robert Whittaker. But that comes after getting submitted by Khamzat Chimaev. What's next for Rob? Like, what's up? What's next for the Reaper? Because all he wanted, Chael, was another opportunity to fight for the belt. How long does he do this if that is not on the horizon, at least we could see for right now?
Well, let me use his words. His exact words were, "We all know where this puts me now." And he was well aware that there was no time for bumps in the roads, not at his age and not with the opportunities that he's already been given. He is absolutely a top guy. And hey, can we talk about that split decision real fast?
Yeah.
Did you think that that was the right call? Did you think that Rob maybe edged it out?
I didn't. I thought RDR won because I still gave the Ridder a round where Rob, I think I gave him a round where Rob had him hurt bad. And then the Ridder got on top, controlled him for the last 3 minutes and kind of was in dominant position. I think that was the round I gave him that many may not have given him. And I also gave him the fourth round. That was very close where not much happened. And I thought the Ridder did just enough to steal that round. Actually, you know what? I gave Rob the round that he dropped him. But I gave the Ridder rounds 4 and round 5.
Yeah. And I saw it the same way. I thought it was a very clear 3 rounds to 2. I was surprised that one of the judges saw it different. I was surprised that Whittaker thought that he won the contest as a whole. And I don't begrudge him for that, and I wouldn't judge somebody for what they say in that moment. I just share for you that I thought it was a fair contest. I thought it was a fair adjudication. And where does Whittaker go from here? What an interesting question, because he's fought most of those name guys. So is he going to go into a position where he lends his name to get an opportunity that perhaps he otherwise wouldn't have gotten? Does he walk away? He made a bunch of money. He's got a beautiful family. I'm just sharing, like, all those things are on the table. And there will be a day when we're going to have to mourn the loss of the career of Robert Whittaker. I don't think mentally he is there yet, but I can assure you that mentally he's opened the door and he's at least looking to it. And it's very hard to come back once you make that even consideration. So let's give Rob a little bit of time and see exactly what happens. But RDR and title talks, yeah, those are going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for him being in contention. But you're right. Seems like Bohalio's the next guy after this fight coming up now. It's always funny how the latest thing that passes in front of our eyes, and as great as RDR is, we can't forget what Kyle Bohalio has done since he got off the Contender Series to put himself positioned to be one of the top contenders at 185. But yeah, I love this weight class. Very rarely do we look above 155 for the best weight class in the UFC. Generally, it's a fight between 135 bantamweight and 155 lightweight. The middleweights are making a case right now with all that great talent that they have in the organization right now.
For 70 years, every single day, Disneyland has honored veterans with an American tradition.
Disney is dedicated to the ideals and the dreams that have created America.
Thank you, Walt. I'm delighted to be here for this happy occasion.
This is where heroes work. This is where veterans are celebrated. This is Disney.
Chael, my boy Khabib was talking the other day. This dude did like a 3-hour interview. I don't know how they got him to do a 3-hour interview. He does this long interview. There was so much to take from it. But the thing that most locked on to was his thoughts on rounds. He goes, I never quite understood the rounds. Why can't we just fight for 15 minutes or 25 minutes? What do you think of that?
Well, it's not the first time I've heard that. It's the first time I've heard that in about 10 years. I mean, that was always the Gracies' philosophy as well. When the Gracies brought the sport to North America, when they still owned it and they were deciding what the rules was, which was basically portrayed as no biting, no eye gouging, everything else went. Wrap your hands if you want to. Wear a cup if you want to. You ought to have a mouthpiece in, but nobody's going to make you do it. That question really has been around. And people that try to say, hey, we're trying to get this as close to a real life situation so we can figure out what form of self-defense would work the best in a real life situation. But I really don't have a problem with breaking it after 5 minutes. I don't think that 5 minutes is a real life situation. I've never seen something go even up to a full 30 seconds in a real life situation. So there is parts of it that we want to make sure that we change, where we can hang our hat on the idea of 2 men enter and 1 man leave. We can hang our hat, but then we also show professionalism and we make sure that it looks like a sport. And other sports do have breaks and rounds and quarters and halftime. I think the way that we do it, I like it. I've heard Khabib's argument before, but I will tell you, as I track back over history, I'm not certain with that rule, meaning we don't break every 5 minutes. I'm not certain that our history books look very much different. I'm not certain that certain guys would be world champions and certain world champions would not have got to the throne. I think it's kept the sport perfectly in line with the adjudication that should happen.
So I think like you're right. People just adjust to what is the norm. So there were no rounds. You would just fight in that way. Here's what I would like. I would like it because when we had the most success as a country wrestling, it was a 5-minute round. There was no break. You remember? When we were really good as Americans in terms of freestyle wrestling, there was a 5-minute round where you could just hang on them dudes and work them to death. And I love that. That was when I was younger. We get out there and just scrap. I don't hate it. I do agree to what you're saying. Football, there's quarters, right? Every 15 minutes, there's a stop. There's a halftime. In every other sport, basketball, I get it. It keeps us in line. It makes the UFC look like everything else. But I don't think it's that bad an idea. I think that you separate the men from the boys, and you also say, like, 2 men go. Like you said, only one dude gonna walk out of here. You're gonna fight until that happens. But then you also run into the issue, Chael, of the long fight, like when Don Fry fought somebody back in the day. Ken Shamrock, was it Ken Shamrock and Don Fry fought for 15 minutes and it was just bad?
Ken and Dan Severn went for a half hour.
It was bad. I was like, oh my God. It was horrible to watch. You had this great expectation and it just was not a good fight. So I understand the thought. I think at times it would work great, but there are times where you might run into that. When it comes to the mentality, I feel it's Khabib's thought, just like you and I, where there's no reason to stop, right? I can work my way into a position at 4 minutes and 59 seconds that when that round starts, this guy gets a reset. Why? Does he get a reset when I work so hard to get myself to that position? And it's also the idea that when you meet up with someone and there's something like that happens, there's no time limit. You just fight until one guy is rendered helpless. And in 15 minutes, if I can't render you helpless, then what difference does it make that you got 1 minute in between every single time? Khabib would have beat on Conor McGregor for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Hey, I love your example.
With no 1 minute breaks in the middle of it.
I love your example of the way they used to do it in amateur wrestling, but wouldn't that be interesting? Like if you're going to force a standing position, you're going to force that. It would seem as though the referee would then have the power to force one guy on top and one guy on bottom, and later in the match switch that position. I mean, it would just seem if you want to go, to straight up parterre, whether you flip a coin or it comes down to a round, but if you're going to make somebody stand, it would seem to level the fairness of that at some point you make them go on the ground. And I'm not a proposer of that. I'm just saying, when we start down this road of ridiculousness and we try to get to what's absolutely perfectly fair, we realize there is no such thing. And we realize the sport of mixed martial arts is almost a perfect sport. The government oversees it. There's a tremendous group thought. Things do change over the years, but where we've got it right now, I think it's almost perfect.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think we're in a great spot. But if I had to change one rule, I would just change the fence grab rule to where, like, when you do that, you got to take a point. That's it. Like, sometimes it's so bad I think it's a little bit unfair to make the referee have to decide how much he's going to affect the fight. I think that's why so many of them don't do it, especially in a 3-round fight. They know how severe that point deduction could be, so they don't do it. I mean, I could be fighting you, and you're about to take me down, Chael, and I grab that fence, and I hold, and I may save myself from getting beaten on the ground. But if you make that 10-8, or that takedown turns into a 10-8, now I know I have to win round 2 and 3 to save a draw. I think it'll make the fighting funner, because the moment that guy's down 10-8, he knows either I'm going to fight to a draw, or I have to put so much out there that I'm going to finish this dude, or you make him not grab that fence, take his 10-9 beating, and then go on to try to win the fight.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that your larger point, if I'm interpreting you right, is we only have so many rules, so if there's a violation on one of them, you've got to call the thing. And I've never really understood the warning either. I didn't really get that. In Amanda Nunes, or I apologize, when Juliana Pena just fought with Kayla Harrison, Juliana not only fouled her, she fouled her twice. She kicked her with the right foot, and then she kicked her with the left. I maintain for you, if she'd only kicked her with the right foot, they probably would have called that position and returned to action, but you can't do that. There's only so many rules. I remember when Aljo took heat for winning a world championship off of a disqualification, but I'm sitting at home going, hey, we've only got a few rules. One of them is don't kick the guy when he's down. So if you do kick the guy, you must take the point and you must remedy the situation with the leverage and tools at your disposal, in which case was a disqualification. I had no problem with it.
I didn't, and I thought Aljamain did what he was supposed to do. You don't, hey, there are a few instances where if a guy fouls you, you take it. Because what happens? Aljamain gets up. He's been hit with a bad knee. He keeps fighting against Piotr Jan, who's amazing. No chance. He did the right thing. But you're right. Hey, and I think in that Juliana Pena fight, if I remember correctly, not only did she kick her, I think they stood him up. They actually stood him up afterwards. So she fouled her to get to a better position for herself, which to me was absolutely insane. Last one, Chael. Hey, Islam Makhachev was at Abu Dhabi this week. They asked him about Ilia Topuria. And he said, the UFC put him #1 pound for pound to build the fight. Him and I will fight for the best in the world in the #1 pound for pound ranking. How exciting is that? Because very rarely have we gotten Islam saying, we're going to fight. We got that this weekend.
It's very interesting, and I would like to take Islam's temperature after he makes 170 and has success. And all I'm suggesting for you is I think the world's going to be very different for Islam if he becomes the champion of the world at 170. I think the first thing he's going to not want to do is visit 155 again. I think he's going to have these same conversations about Ilia of come on up, bring it on. Go for triple champ status, but we do it here at 170. It's very tough for me to believe if Islam obtains world championship status at 170 that he's going to elect to go back to 155. And that's not something he's thinking now. That's not a reward that he's given himself just yet. But once he does it one time, sees how good he feels on fight week, his mere attitude, the attitude and the way that you can treat other people when you are not in starvation mode, I think it's something that Islam has earned. I think he's going to enjoy, and I'm a little light on the idea that he's going to return to 155.
Isn't it crazy how come Thursday when you're starving, how bad you treat everybody around you? I mean, you just start. You go from the beginning of the week where you're still fueled a little bit, still feeling a little bit bad, but you're still nice, you're smiling, you go sign those posters, you're nice to everybody. But then the people closest to you just start getting just destroyed come Thursday morning. It's nuts. You're drinking all that water all week, Chael. Thursday, they're like, only drink when you need it. And you're like, oh my God, I'm starving. I'm thirsty as hell. You've had 2 gallons every single day leading to that. The moment you're restricted from it, though, you start just bashing into people and treating them like crap. Islam at 170 will realize, wow, I can fight and not feel like I want to just kill everyone come Thursday night. And you know how hard his weight cuts are. I'm most excited because now he's open to the idea. I was very afraid or concerned that he just didn't want to fight the guy. I just don't know if Topuria doesn't remind them too much of McGregor. I think that whole camp, and I'm not even talking about just Islam, Khabib, I'm talking all of us. We were all so wrapped up and worked up about Khabib fighting Conor. And we were also like mad about the way he talked about his dad, the way he talked about his religion. It was like when he was beating him, there was this video on UFC something, main event or something, and he's beating him. And I'm just in the stands going, kill him. You know, like I'm going crazy because I want him to just get destroyed because of all that he said about that man and his family and his father and all these things. So I think it brought so much out of him that I don't know if he looks or is Ilia feels like that. And it may be a little bit of a fear to go back to that place because that was a dark place, man. Think about all that happened leading up to the fight, after the fight, the dolly through the window. Like, that was a bad place for a guy in Khabib that doesn't really he doesn't like that type of stuff. I know he's a killer, but this dude's like very nice and like very reserved in a sense. So I don't know, man. Maybe Ilia reminds them of that because he is.
And Daniel, by the way, it takes two to fight. As open to it as Islam is right now, what motivation would Ilia have? Ilia's got all fresh opponents, all fresh faces. He's already got the #1 ranking. I don't believe that Islam was correct in his assessment that this is for marketing. If it was for marketing, they kept it around him. Ilia's got a world championship they can fight over. Islam does not. So I think that Islam's math was a little bit backwards on that, but if that's something that he needed to get him motivated and get us towards that fight, I'm for it. As much as Ilia and Islam think that's a mega fight, it's a big fight, but that's where it ends. It still needs a little time to become a mega fight. And I know those two think that they're huge stars. They're doing just fine. They're not there yet.
Yeah, it would be a big fight, Chael. It will be a big one. I gotta disagree with you. I think it's one of the biggest ones we have. It's Jones and Aspinall and Islam Ilia Topuria.
And you realize that we tried to make Jones and Aspinall, and you realize nobody ever tried to make Ilia and Islam.
We tried so much to make.
Oh, for goodness sakes, they
tried so much.
Come on.
They went to Dagestan, Chael.
Come on.
Hunter went to Dagestan to try to make the fight. It's a very important fight for the organization.
That's the information that you have? Because I have information on that meeting to Dagestan was to say you're going to go to 170 and you're not coming back. The same talk they had with Ilia. Promise us you will not leave once you get here.
Okay. I will take your word. Hey, you really are that guy that when you sit in, when you lean in, you look at me, I go, I need to believe him. Hey, that's what I know you're telling me the truth. When you lean in, I'm like, okay, yeah. I got you.
They didn't try to make that fight.
Okay. Chael, you the man. Guys, for the bad guy, Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. See you guys on Thursday. Peace. Oh, look at how high I can lift my arm, Chael. I can only get it here. It hurts so bad.